Hello?
Hey, my man.
How's it going?
Dude, it's fucking awesome talking to you.
Yeah, it's nice to join this morning.
Yeah, where are you at right now?
I'm in my house in Austin, Texas.
Oh,
Yeah.
Texas.
Yeah, where are you?
I'm in the complete opposite. I'm in California, Ventura,
Oh, okay.
Los
Nice.
Angeles-ish.
Cool.
Um, how was your morning been so far?
It's been good. The sun came out for the first time in a while. Texas has been experiencing some crazy weather.
Oh, I know.
But yeah, it's been a nice morning. Had my cup of coffee and ready to rock.
Well, let's go. All right. So I've listened to the new album
Yeah.
and I love it. There's some things that the first question I want to know is how do you yourself create the music?
Yeah. So I'm completely insular. So I write and produce and record and mix everything in a bedroom in this house. Yeah, so the whole thing. On this, my first album, I did literally everything, including the mastering and the album art and everything. But on Harmony House, my new album, um, the cover shot was done by my friend Pune, and she did an awesome job. And then I had someone else master it, but everything else I did and played on my own.
It's because when I'm listening in this, you really experiment with sound. Like I
Yeah.
can tell, like you hear something and you try to duplicate it. What are the sounds that you use? Are you using like I'm just guessing, I'm throwing it out there. Do you have a Jupiter 8 maybe?
I wish.
Okay.
I have a plug-in. I don't necessarily have the budget to get a Jupiter 8 yet. Those things are crazy expensive.
I know, it's like 20 grand.
Yeah, but I have a couple like vintage synths on this next record. It's mostly analog, where I'm recording via an instrument into the computer. Like there's some MIDI stuff, but most of it was played live, which I really tried to incorporate. But on my latest, or my second latest single, Close to You, the synth stuff is mostly a Roland JX3P for the synth nerds out there. Yeah.
I had written down a Roland 808.
I have some 808 on the next album, but they're samples.
Okay.
So I don't personally own one. Yeah, another bucket list piece of gear.
People M83, they do a lot, or he does a lot of he uses those instruments specifically, and that's what made me. I saw a documentary on him
Oh, nice.
just as I'm doing research on you.
Yeah.
And I was like, and then I'm like, so I had to ask a question.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see that. I love their music. So I'd have to watch the documentary. That's awesome.
Yeah, like he was describing that um he does this to describe a sound, or he describes sounds with vision. So
Hmm.
his song, in that, I thought that was real awesome too, because his song Midnight City, he
Yeah,
was describing the 1980s in his childhood.
yeah, that's cool.
So I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
you had said that this album Harmony House is you dealing with change, or you conveying change. Are you very nostalgic? And is this you saying goodbye to your childhood? And in the song specifically December?
Sure. Yeah, I think it's really interesting to be nostalgic at such a young age, because I definitely am very nostalgic of like the past, but my generation is experiencing this weird um, thing that I'm seeing in culture that I just call it false nostalgia, where like everybody is watching TV shows that were made before they were born. You know, like Friends is like one of the most popular shows, or like Seinfeld or Cheers even. And they're like all these really old TV shows and artists and songs. Like Fleetwood Mac is at the top of the charts, or at least they were for a little bit.
Yeah.
It's this crazy thing where like I'm 21, so like a lot of people my age will like realize that it's nostalgic, but it's almost like not even personally nostalgic, but it's like culturally nostalgic. We're like kind of reaching back for the world that we weren't a part in. So it's like this weird nostalgic thing. So for me personally, I've been listening to a lot of and drawing inspiration from a lot of bands that were, uh, way before I was close to being even born. Like a lot of James Taylor's like earlier music. Paul Simon, Graceland is one of the greatest albums. And so, anyways, to answer the question, I think I am very nostalgic, but even a step beyond. Just like looking back at like the 80s or the 70s just really excites me.
Is that how do you do a lot of like research with 80s music and culture? Because
Oh,
this album, it's almost like flipping through the television set
yeah.
in another time zone. You know what I mean?
Well, thank you. That is definitely the goal. Yeah, you definitely nailed it there. Yeah, I think definitely I do a fair share of research. I mean, I'm not like going to the library and like getting books or something. Like it's not like,
Yeah.
but it fascinates me to look at uh, pop culture from a different time and to use this gear and these instruments and synths and stuff. And just the idea of modernizing something that used to be popular. Because, like, you go to any wedding or event and Whitney Houston, I Want to Dance with Somebody, is like a good song. It just will always probably be a good song. Like, I'm sure some people would say like it's annoying because they've heard it so many times. But like, it's just a good song. So um, I guess in the middle of a moment, you don't realize that something will exist for a long time. But I just listen to a lot of pop radio and I see how quickly it just like disappears. And so one of my goals as a musician and just as an artist is to really try to find that like longevity formula. Like, what about these 80s songs are like so good? So I don't know. I'm just fascinated by how it's existed for 40 years, 50 years. I don't know. Crazy.
Hey, yeah. Yeah. Um, I was born in the 80s. So
Nice.
when you're saying 50 years, I'm like, come on, bro.
Yeah, I'm sorry to do that, but
Another thing, another reminiscence that it had was WandaVision. Have you seen the television show WandaVision?
I actually haven't yet. I really want to watch it. I've been seeing a lot of like stuff about it.
Okay. I read something about one of your quotes on this album, and you had mentioned something about um, a sitcom television.
Yeah.
And I think that if you look at WandaVision, if you watch it and then revisit that quote,
Hmm.
you'll be like, oh shit.
Yeah.
So when you get a chance.
Yeah, I'm going to check it out.
Um, there's a couple of songs on this new album that made me think of this question that I'm asking you. And maybe I'm looking too far into it, or maybe I'm not hearing the right lyrics. But are there a couple songs that where you're questioning your spot in the universe?
Um, Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, my first album, Fuzzy Brain, was generally just dealing with the beginning stages of growing up, kind of like exiting high school, and I guess like knowing that change is about to happen and feeling that anxiety of like, what's it going to be like? What's it going to be like to grow up? And not that I'm like, an old man yet or something. I'm like 21, but
Well,
a
I
lot
thought you were born in the 80s.
yeah, right, right. And I think a lot happens though between 18 and 21, and you're just kind of really in the like middle of figuring out who you are. And so Harmony House um, mostly generally reflects on like, well, first just like all this sudden attention that I'm getting, and not necessarily like I don't know, like Justin Bieber style fame or something. It's not like paparazzi's outside my door, but it's just a weird sense of like, oh wow, like I am like an artist now, and like people like are listening to what I have to say, and it's just strange because I never thought that would happen so quickly. So it's mostly just dealing with the like sudden attention um, and just like growing up. It's pretty easy to write about for me personally. So I think my purpose and spot in the universe could definitely play parts in that.
What was it like? How did you know that you were like on your way to becoming like an artist? Is that it was this, can I call you tonight? That was your big um that was a big deal
Yeah.
for you.
Mhm.
Um how long did you know after you wrote it that this is going to be a good song or
That's
a
a
hit
great
song?
question. Yeah. Can I Call You Tonight is a strange anomaly, which I didn't really understand until I kind of met other people like in the music industry, and they're like, this song's like weird. Like it has a weird life because it's had like so many different viral moments um, where it just like usually when something's viral, I mean, you kind of forget about it, but it's gone viral just to different places, whether that's like TikTok or like
Mhm.
some other outlet. It's just had all these different moments, which is so weird. But it also happened so quick in the grand scheme of things. So I think mostly just following the trend of Can I Call You Tonight growing and um, really kind of helped me realize or kind of forced me to realize that like, okay, like this is happening and there's kind of no turning back. Not that I would want to, but it's like this is something that's happening, and I'm gaining more followers on Instagram and stuff, and people are saying like they love me, and I'm like what? Like what did it? What It's just a crazy thing, just having all this attention and what's the word like responsibility. Um, So it's just crazy. I mean, I'm still learning what it means and how to um, deal with like having a platform. That's something people talk about a lot nowadays. Is just like everybody kind of has like a platform, and at the end of the day, I'm just like a normal person, but I have this platform. So I don't know. I guess I'm still figuring out what it even means.
How do your parents how have they reacted to the success of your music career?
They're super supportive.
They are? Okay.
Yeah, they love all of it. I mean, initially, when I first started making music and like Logic and GarageBand and stuff, um, they like any parent, like if I had a son and he's 15, 16 years old and he's like, Dad, my passion is rock and roll. Like anybody would be like, okay, like let's do this like, responsibly.
Oh,
So I think they had caution. They just made sure that I approached everything um, well, and yeah, I think it was good for them to be that way. But initially, once things really started kicking up, and I met my managers, they were just like, "Yeah, I mean, you probably shouldn't be in college anymore. Like, you should probably just like go for this." And so I'm really thankful for my parents. They're super supportive.
uh, You've done some amazing things so far in your career. I mean, it's almost when it starts taking off, the country shuts down. So far, out of what is the coolest thing or the funnest thing to you that you've been able to do because of your music career?
Good question, man. Yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, I feel so like blessed of any of this happened in any way that it has. I mean, the tour was a bummer that it got canceled. But yeah, I don't know. Just the fact that I can tell my grandkids, like, I had a full US tour that completely sold out and then it never happened. That's pretty crazy.
Bullshit, Grandpa.
Yeah, I know.
Bullshit. They're gonna say that.
Like out of all, like, whenever we look back at this time, like, I think that's just a pretty cool like story. Like, because people will be talking about these handful of years for a long time.
Mhm.
And so, like, when I hopefully have kids someday or something, that I can tell them, like, well, my story of that is like I had a full like rock band and I did all these things, and that's just, it's cool. So I don't know, it's all been awesome.
Nice. And I'm not even sure if you're going to be able to answer this question, but thi- I'm so fascinated with how you create music. Uh, like, do you hear something in a commercial and then write it down, or do you just sit there with your computer or your keyboard? Like, what is the creative process for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I'm still figuring out, to be honest. It's just so, I'm a very like, um, I know three things about myself. I'm very much a perfectionist. I'm definitely like a workaholic, and I'm like super hypersensitive. So all of those things and being a musician kind of puts me in a position where I'm like constantly thinking about what I'm going to make next, or how I'm going to make this more unique, or like do my approach at this kind of thing. And so I mean, there's definitely times where I'll like hear a melody out in public or something, and I've tons of voice memos and stuff. Um,
How do you do it? Do you go do 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 do?
uh, I'm sure I have a couple of dudes. Yeah,
Look, I'm just serious. Like, what does your voice memo sound like? That's what I'm
yeah.
curious.
Mostly it's like sitting down, probably at an instrument, uh,
Uh-huh.
and then like just roughly playing a couple minutes of something.
Uh-huh.
Then I'll look back, but I'm probably making something every day. I would say at least one thing every day. So yeah.
Do you know Rex Orange County? Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Um, Very 70s like.
Hmm.
Have you ever experimented with that sound? The 70s sound?
Yeah. I think a little bit of Harmony House. People will probably recognize a little bit of the stuff going on to be 70s ish.
Oh,
Like some kind of Tom Petty moments. I don't know. Hopefully people will say that. But yeah, I love Rex Orange County. Really talented writer, and hopefully we can hang out someday and pick his brain. But
yeah, I love them. My favorite song on this album is Into the Blue. Into Blue. Um, it really just resonates with me. Um, what what was your thought? What are your memories of creation of Into Blue?
yeah, I'm glad that you say that. This is honestly the first interview that I've had with someone who's like listened to the record, so this is pretty exciting. But it's like, yeah, Into Blue it's actually a song about friendship. It's not necessarily like a love song. I wanted it to feel like one,
Uh-huh.
but it was kind of just this experience I was going through with a friend, and then I very much over dramatized it with music. But
That's
yeah,
awesome.
it really does have like a special place in my heart. The production, is kind of like Phil Collinsy meets like, I don't know, any 80s ballad was really what I was just like going for. Because there's just so much sonically, a lot of like 80s inspired stuff happening. But what I really wanted to do with Harmony House is like not compromise like 80s meets modern. Like I think that'll happen naturally, but I really wanted to like make it as much as I could sound like a song like truly from like your dad's record collection or something. And so Into Blue was really like that digital reverby take on the just 80s ballad sound. But there's a melody that like shows up throughout the whole album, and it's in pretty much every song. And on Into Blue, it's like on the guitar solo at the end, and that's probably my favorite moment where the melody shows up, because it just feels like it just kind of emotional.
And it really is. Like what I just did is I put when I'm at work, I just put the album on and I just listened to it a couple times without looking at the names. And then like, all right, what one stands out to me? After the third or fourth time I listened to it, and that one's the one that stood out to me.
Yeah, well, thank you. That excites me.
The other one was You're Close. You're So Close, the single. I'm sorry, I don't have it written down.
No worries. Close to You.
Close to You.
Yeah.
That's the other one. That's one that really stood out to me as well.
Yeah.
That's something I really like. It made me feel happy, that song.
Yeah.
So this whole album, it really has me. It's real to me. It's special. There's when you're able to, and the reason why I love M83 so much, like that's literally one of my favorite bands. Like, and I listen to them very, very frequently.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think that song, Midnight City, is the best song ever made.
It's a great song.
I always tell my friends, like when we're hanging out, like that's the best song ever made. This is it. Listen.
Yeah.
But this album is, to me, so perfect.
Well, thank you. Wow, man.
It is. You go if you really want to like time travel and I just don't know how to explain it. I will do a great job writing this up. This album has a big spot in my heart.
Well, thank you, man. I'm stoked to let it out. Yeah, that's awesome. You're the first person I've gotten to talk to about it, so that's exciting.
I'm very blessed to be one of the people to have listened to it first.
Yeah.
I guess so. This would be my last question for you. Do you have people that you look up to musically? And not just musically, but creatively as well. Like, for instance, I can look up to Eddie Van Halen, but I can also look up, because I like his music, but then creatively, like, M83, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, do you have people like that you look up to?
Yeah, definitely. I've always tried to be really cautious with like really picking one person, because I do think like everybody, like art in and of itself, I'm sure you've heard the quote where like art is theft, like everybody's kind of getting ideas from each other.
Yeah.
So what I've wanted to do with Dayglow is really seem like this is a replication of like Sloan's playlist. So it's like not just one person, but it's kind of like everything I'm inspired by at the time. So it's a pretty wide range. I would say like people that are inspiring me right now, and I would be like, starstruck to me. It's like Kevin Parker, Tame Impala, I think is like, he kind of changed music and the approach to music.
I interviewed Tame Impala once and I fucked up.
Oh, no way.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be intimidating. It's just like.
Right, so check this shit out, okay? I was on a college radio. I've never told anybody the real story. So
Oh, wow.
you're gonna be the first person.
Let's
I
hear it.
told like bits and variations of the story, but so I work at this college radio station,
Yeah.
and I see this girl there,
Mm.
and she's very attractive, and she was like, oh, and like I heard Tame Impala. I was like, oh shit, you like Tame Impala? And she was like, yeah, Tame the Impala is awesome. So she keeps on saying Tame the Impala, and then my buddy that's with me, like he's like, oh, this girl's bad. Let me try to holler too. And yeah, Tame the Impala is the best. I just bought their album. So now there's like two people saying Tame the Impala around me, right?
Yeah.
So then I interview. I'm there with Jay Watson, and I'm like, hey, Tame the Impala, Tame the Impala, Tame the Impala. The whole interview, and he's like you can read someone like this guy's like, get him the fuck away from me. He
Yeah.
doesn't know what he's talking about. He can't
Yeah.
even get my fucking name of the band right. Worst interview ever. The publicist called me to take down the interview.
Well, it's in the past, you know. It's all good. You live and you learn.
Part of me wants them to be the biggest thing ever so I can release that one day.
Yeah, that's
And
pretty
see,
iconic. Yeah, that's awesome.
imagine if someone was calling Michael Jackson the Michael of the Jackson.
Yeah. Man, it's
All
crazy.
right, so I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No worries. No worries.
Okay, and for you, what is your baby on this album? Oh shit! And I'm gonna try to wrap both of them up in one. What is your baby of this album? Like, what is the one song that you're like, oh my god, I love it so
Mm.
much? And then yeah, that would be it. That's it.
Cool. Man, I don't know. Like honestly, the whole record is really special to me right now. And I think just the like pre-release jitters are just like awesome. I'm so excited to see how people react to it. And I think that'll probably help me discern like which one is the one that's like personal to me.
Yeah.
But I think the song December really like just feels I don't know. I just feel like I'm gonna look back on it and be like, oh yeah, that's definitely like the stamp of Sloan at 21.
And that was the one where you found your grandma's book.
Yeah. The lyrics were written out of this like poem book.
Did you show your parents?
They have heard the album.
They
Yeah,
did.
so they're pretty stoked about it.
After this, are you gonna continue to go like through Salone's playlist? Are you? I mean, what could be next? 60s, 50s, 40s?
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep going back until it's like Bach or something. Actually, ironically, I've been listening to a lot of classical music, but I don't know. There's kind of like a lot of directions I'm thinking about going in next, but I guess we'll have to see.
Dude, you better give me another interview.
Yeah.
With any other your next project. I'm dying.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm a fan. I gotta say I'm a fan.
Thank you.
And seeing, really hearing this last album, I'm so gracious for you and that you've done this for the music community. I
Oh yeah.
think this album is going to be, it's not just like an album. To me, it's not just like, oh, that guy has an album and this guy. I'm hoping that this could be somewhat, a focal point of this generation.
Thank
And
you.
and we
I mean,
look back in 20 years like, oh fuck, remember that Dayglow album?
yeah.
Harmony House? It's dope.
Man, well, thank you. That's the hope.
My man, hey, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day and in Texas, man. Enjoy that sun.
Yeah, thanks. You as well.
All right, man. Have a good one. I
See ya.
appreciate you.
Bye.